This is a video for law of sines. Use it to help you with section 7.6. With law of sines. This is the basic rule for law of sines. You're setting up a proportion. Notice here I have 3 different ratios. Well, at any one time, you're only going to use 2 of those ratios, and you just have to decide which ones you know the information about, and those are the ones you're going to use. Law of sines works for any kind of triangle, not just a right triangle, and I'm going to explain more of that here in a minute. Now, if you have a triangle, it doesn't have to have a right angle in it, but no, if we have angle A here, angle B there, angle C there, remember that little a is always across from big A. It's supposed to be a little a. Little b is across from big B, and little c is across from big C. So that's what these in the bottoms are. So it's the sine of the angle, so like the sine of angle A, over the side that's opposite angle A, the length of the side opposite angle A. All right, these are a couple rules. Law of sines can work for any any triangle, not just right triangles. So everything that we've done up till now, you always had to have a right angle in there. Well, now you don't have to have a right angle. So it works for any right triangle, or I'm sorry, any triangle, not just a right triangle. So it could be some triangle that looks like that has one angle that's 50, one angle that's 80, and another angle that's 50. It would work for that triangle. We're also going to cover something called the law of sines. Well, with the law of sines, you need to know certain or law of cosines, I mean. With the law of sines, you need to know certain information. With the law of cosines, you need to know certain information to use either one of them. So, for law of sines, if you know the measure of 2 angles and a side, then you can use the law of sines. If you know measures of 2 sides and an angle opposite one of those sides, then you can use law of sines. Law of sines quite a bit easier than law of cosines when we get to it. So if you got a chance to use law of sines instead of law of cosines, it makes it easier on you. All right, this is an example. Show you how to do this real quick. It says find y if the measure of x, angle x, equals 37 degrees, little x equals 3, and the measure of angle y is 68. So if I draw any triangle, apparently this triangle's got x is one of the angles, y is one of the angles, and they didn't tell us the other angle, but we'll assume it's z. Well, the measure of angle x is 37 degrees, so that's right there. The measure of angle y is 68 degrees. That's things messing up. Alright, so the measure of angle x is 37 degrees, the measure of angle y is 68 degrees. Little x, which is across from big X, so little x would be over here is 3, and we're looking for little y, which would be across from big Y, so we're looking for that. And all you're going to do set up a proportion. And it's gonna be the sine of big X, or the sine of 37 degrees, over little x equals the sine of big Y, which is 68 degrees, over little y. So you're just setting up that proportion. Once you set up that proportion, before you can cross multiply, you have to figure out what the sine of 37 is and what the sine of 68 is. And to do that, you just take your calculator, and punch in, just hit sine, don't hit second, just hit sine 37, and it's going to equal 0.6018. That's still over 3. And then you do the sine of 68, sine, so hit sine on your calculator, 68, and that gives you 0.9272 when we round it off. That's over y. You cross multiply, you get 0.6018 times y equals 3. Do this on your calculator, 3 times 0.9272, and you end up with 2. We'll go out a couple of places, 2.78. It only goes out 4, so I'll just write them all down, and then we'll round it all off at the end. Divide both sides by 0.6018. Then use your calculator, and we end up with y equals, and this time we'll round it off. My calculator says 4.622133.599, so we'll just round it off to about 4.6. So the length of this side right here of that triangle has to be 4.6. So you're just setting up that proportion each time. All right, this next example says find all the missing parts of the triangle. I'm going to flip to the next slide so I got more room. So once you see all that, we're going to draw the triangle here in a minute with all those parts in it. So we have some triangle. Again, doesn't have to be a right triangle. And according to our things, we must have P, Q, and R as our vertices. Remember, little p would be over here, little q would be over here, little r would be over here. They told us little p was 72, so we'll put that in there. They told us angle R was 66 degrees, so we'll write that in that angle. And they told us angle Q was 59 degrees, so we'll put that in there. They want us to find all the missing parts. Well, the easiest thing to find first is angle P, because 59 plus 66, that's 15. 11, 12, 125, then you just subtract that from 180, you get 55, so this angle up here has to be 55 degrees. So that's one of the things they wanted us to find. Now we got to find the other two sides, which is little r and little q. It doesn't matter which one you find first, but we're going to use the law of sines to find both of them. We'll find little r first. Well, if we're finding little r, then we know we want the sine of angle r, which is 66, over little r. And then the other ones that we pick, we don't want to pick the q because we don't know q. We don't want two variables in the same problem, so we probably want to pick the p's. So sine of 55, which is angle p, over little p, which is 72. Then you use your calculator again. Find the sine of 66. Comes out to be 0.9135. Put that over r equals sine of 55. Use your calculator. 0.8192. That goes over 72. Cross multiply. You get 0.8192 times r equals 0.9135 times 72. That's 65.772. Again, I didn't round off yet. If I can write it all down, and it's right there on your calculator, you can leave it on the calculator and just divide that answer by 0.8192. And you get, and this time we'll round it off, so little r would equal about 80.3. So this right here is 80.3. Now to find little q, we just set up proportion for it. You can use the same stuff that you used over here on this one, since you knew both parts. So you could do sine of 55 over 72. Now we're going to use sine of 59, because we're finding q this time. Well, the sine of 55 we already found was 0.8192 over 72. Sine of 59, we punch that into our calculator, and you get 0.8572 over little q. Cross multiply, 0.8192q equals get something like 61.7160. Then divide that by 0.8192. And again, you can leave it on your calculator and just hit divided by 0.8192, and it's going to tell you that little q is somewhere, and I'll round this off, be somewhere around 75.3. So we found that, we found this, we found this. We know every part of the triangle. We found every missing part of the triangle. The other thing, with the last test, if you watch this video, with the last test, if you come in before your next class, and like intervention or sometime, I'll give you another copy of the test, and we'll go through and we'll circle, let's do 4 problems. We'll circle 4 problems. And what I will allow you to do is take that other copy of the test home, figure out those 4 problems, maybe ones that you didn't understand, figure them out, bring that back in, and if you missed those problems on the test and you got them correct when you took it home and worked it out, I will give you those points on your test. So don't tell everybody else, because if everybody knows, if you tell everybody about this, then you'll not make it worth anything. So if you come in, don't wait till the last minute and come in. Come in before I have your test graded and handed back to you. Like, come in, if you're already taking the test, come in tomorrow or during intervention today or whenever. But come in before I hand your test back, And we'll go through and I'll let you pick out 4 problems off a copy of the test. I'll let you take a separate copy of the test home. You can do those 4 problems, get the answers, however, as long as you have them worked out. And I will, if you miss those on the test, I will give you those points if you get them right the second time around. If you have questions, just come in and ask me and I'll explain it to you.